Good evening, good morning. Warm greetings to everyone across the globe from Athens. I'm George Tsakali, Vice Principal of Global Engagement at Metropolitan College. And on behalf of Mr. Konstantinos Rodopoulos, President of ACME Metropolitan Educational Group, I'm delighted to welcome you all to today's online panel discussion entitled Internationalization of Higher Education, the Greek Paradigm. The pandemic has underlined the necessity for transformation of traditional notions in the field of higher education. Greece has met the educational challenge of the pandemic quite well by adapting to new models of online and blended provision. In fact, one could argue that the pandemic initiated the digital transformation of Greek education. This response to the pandemic challenge coincides with Greece's coordinated efforts to interconnect its universities with a global academic universe so as to make the country an academic destination for international students. We are delighted that the Greek government created a new legal framework which focuses on internationalization by facilitating the mobility of both students and academics, while at the same time promoting cooperation of higher education institutions with institutions and research bodies abroad. Metropolitan College is Greece's leading private higher education services provider. Home to some 6,500 students, Metropolitan College, with 8 campuses across Greece, is now further expanding its horizons into Europe and the US through collaborations with educational institutions and research bodies so that a global academic universe is created. This comes as a natural development given Metropolitan College's strategic vision to provide an unsurpassed student-centered learning experience led by engaged, world-class faculty, enhanced by a diverse student body in the Eastern Mediterranean region. In this context, I would like to introduce today's panel, which consists of distinguished speakers from the Greek government, international education organizations, partner universities, and foreign embassies, who will share their expertise and know-how on international education. Dr. George Voutsinos, Secretary General for Lifelong Learning of the Greek Ministry of Education. His opening remarks will be presented on a recorded video before starting the panel discussion. Professor Dinos Arkoumanis, Chairman of the Academic Board at Metropolitan College. Mrs. Cynthia Harvey, Public Affairs Officer at the US Embassy to Greece. His Excellency Ambassador of the Swiss Confederation to Greece, Mr. Olaf Kelsen. Due to prior commitments, we'll have Mr. Kelsen's message on recorded video during today's event. Mrs. Clare Overmann, Head of Higher Education Initiatives at the Institute of International Education. Mr. Kevin Perkins, Vice President Global Operations at the University of Arizona. Mr. Eduardo Ramos, Head of Transnational Education at Universities UK International. Mr. Elias Spirtounias, Executive Director at American Hellenic Chamber of Commerce. Mrs. Vivienne Stern, Director, Universities UK International. Mrs. Maria Tsakali, Head of Education at British Council, Greece. Dr. Vangelis Tsiligkiris, Founder and Co-Governor of the TNE Hub, and Professor Brent White, Chief Executive Officer of Global Operations at the University of Arizona. Due to prior commitments, we'll have Professor White's message on recorded video during today's event. The panel will be moderated by Mrs. Maria Nicolescu, news anchor journalist on Greek television and radio networks. Again, a warm thank you in advance to our invited speakers for their contribution and for the opportunity to virtually meet and share your thoughts and expertise in aligning efforts towards our common vision, that is, the internationalization of higher education. So, without further delay, Ms. Nicolescu, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Daskalakis. Thank you all. Best regards from Athens. The weather is wonderful tonight here in Athens. It smells of summer, I have to say. Λοιπόν, I would like to let you know that since we have almost an hour at our disposal, please try to be short and concise in your answers in order to be able to cover more topics. And since my job is to present video, let me start with the first video. As Mr. Daskalakis has already said, let me start with a pre-recorded video by Dr. George Voutsinos. He is the Secretary General for Lifelong Learning of the Greek Ministry of Education. Let's watch this video.
Good afternoon. It is with great pleasure that I am taking part in the online event organized by the Metropolitan College of Greece on the internationalization of higher education, representing the Hellenic Ministry of Education and Religious Affairs. It is true that the Hellenic Ministry of Education and Religious Affairs has taken into account the international challenges and opportunities that have emerged in the area of post-secondary education, both vocational training and tertiary education, along with the benefits that will be brought about the state and private stakeholders. In this context, the Greek government has created a new legal framework which focuses on internationalization and constitutes the official bridge between Greek and international academic communities by facilitating the creation of academic networks as well as by fostering synergies between Greek and foreign university departments in diverse disciplines, thus making Greece a top destination for higher quality studies. In my capacity as Secretary General of Vocational Education, Training, Lifelong Learning and Youth, I welcome the initiative of Metropolitan College. This initiative is in line with the government policy, as our goal is for Greece to become a strong international regional education and training center. No doubt, the Greek private colleges have been serving the vision of making higher education look outwards through their partnerships with reputable foreign institutions with outstanding results as per the evidence available. Education is no longer associated with specific age groups, but it is a lifelong process preparing people for a rapidly changing global environment. Concluding the initial greetings, I would like to express my best wishes for a successful event. Thank you very much.
I think we had a little problem with the sound of a video, but the organizers informed me that via YouTube it was okay. So I would like to thank Dr. Voutsinos for his opening statement. And let me start with the first question to the panel, to our distinguished panel. And the question is, what educational challenges did COVID-19 pandemic pose? So many challenges post-pandemic. And how are these challenges addressed? And how easy was the adaptation to this new model of online and blended provision? And I would like to start by giving the floor to Dinos Archoumanis. Please, the floor is yours.
Hello to everybody.
Hello.
The most immediate challenge of the pandemic has been the overall replacement of the traditional face-to-face learning mode by online synchronous or asynchronous communication of educational material. This change of mode of learning was addressed by either acquisition of available commercial platforms or tailor-made platforms developed within academic institutions. Interestingly enough, in Greece, distance learning in education has been developed parallel to distance serving, which was at the heart of the government's campaign for the digital transformation of the public sector. So distance learning and distance serving. blended learning is expected to become the norm in the next academic year through careful selection of the best features of face-to-face learning on the one hand and distance learning on the other.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Akoummanis. I pass the floor to Mrs. Clare Overmann. Please, the floor is yours for the same question.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. I'm Clare Overmann from the Institute of International Education. I think like Dr. Akoummanis mentioned, of course, the transition to virtual was one of the biggest changes and perhaps challenges that we faced as a sector, but also probably one of the biggest opportunities as well. And I think one of the hopes that I would have as we move forward is that we take some of those learnings and see how we can bring them into the future. We know from the US perspective that almost every institution had to go to either a completely virtual or a hybrid model. And there were many challenges, everything from students having laptops to even students having enough access to food and shelter. And it was incredible to see how the higher education sector stepped up to address all of those issues.
Thank you. Thank you, Claire. And let me pass the floor to Vangelis. What is your, let's say, your understanding of these challenges?
First of all, thanks for having me. I will agree with all the others, but at the same time, I would like to flag that all the challenges and the responses, they were quite specific to the institution and to the country. So there were like different approaches and different responses depending on the circumstances. Overall, I think the prime priority was to maximize safety for all, minimize disruption, and maintain standards. I would slightly not disagree, but I would like to clarify that what we're talking about here is not blended learning per se. It's more about this emergency response, which is quite different to blended learning. Blended learning is something that you design by default, and it's quite different to simply mixing and matching face-to-face elements with online elements. I think the main challenge was that there was a misconception about how easy it is to offer and design and offer online elements. So at the top of the institutions, there was this misconception that online is more economical and it's easier to implement, and you have economies of scale kicking in as early as possible, which is not the case. So actually the key challenge was to realize that online requires more effort, more resources, and that caught by surprise many institutions. I think overall the response by the academics, the students and administrators was great all over the world. And overall, I think the quality and experience has been maintained. That's
yeah, which is very important, I think. Let me pass the floor to Mr. Kevin Perkins. Your thoughts, Kevin?
Absolutely, and thank you for having me here today. I'll take a little different approach to this question.
You are in Arizona now?
Yes.
What's the weather in Arizona today?
It's the early morning right now, but it'll be very hot by the afternoon. So it's summer is basically fully here, and we'll hit close to 100 degrees Fahrenheit probably later this week.
Great.
So, you know, I'll take a different approach to this question and really look at it from the mobility of our international students. As a large land-grant state public university, we serve over 40 to 45 students in total, and over 4,000 of those are international students who come from all over the world. So clearly for us, having such a significant portion of our student body have mobility issues with travel restrictions, not able to obtain a visa to come to the United States. So really our approach was how can we continue or deliver the educational experience to these students who may not be able to come here. So we approach this through innovative ways to expand our online offerings that traditionally were focused on the domestic market, and really look to how we can deliver that to our international students around the world. and also recognizing that some of these students may not have a quality internet connection, they may not have a place to study. And so therefore our approach, which we'll probably get to talk a little bit more about later, was on creating a network of locations around the world where international students could go and receive the University of Arizona education.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you, Arizona. It was great. Let me pass the floor to Mrs. Vivienne Stern, Director. What are your thoughts?
Thank you very much. Well, my first thought is I'm a bit jealous of your beautiful weather in Athens, and I don't even want to go to my feelings about Arizona right now. As you'll see, I'm wearing a jumper. Although we're getting there in the UK. I'll just... We have
open bars and restaurants now,
yeah,
which is important.
We do. There are some small comforts. Others have talked about the transition to online learning, and I would say, I think, to reflect what Dinos said in his opening, that it has been a huge opportunity, actually. There are lots of UK universities who really wanted to deepen the digital provision of learning opportunities and found it a little bit difficult to move a big institution towards that. There were, so many barriers that had to be overcome. And in a period of not more than 2 weeks, in March last year, everybody put on their thinking caps, worked incredibly hard, and all sorts of barriers that previously seemed insurmountable, suddenly they were addressed. And I think that's a wonderful thing to take away from this pandemic, the degree to which universities were able to be agile and to move rapidly to deal with something that previously seemed very difficult. But the other thing I'll mention, and I know we have little time, so I'll be extremely brief, is that the range of ways that universities needed to support their students was bewildering, I think, at the beginning. I mean, exhausting for many people in universities. The mental health needs, the access to technology, the challenges of creating a university community, especially when you have an international community, and all of those ways that we normally welcome people with no networks into our university campus life, much more difficult. And I think that it has been a tribute to the extraordinary hard work of university staff in a wide range of roles that they've thought creatively about how to tackle all of those, very many diverse problems.
Thank you very much. And let me pass the floor to Mrs. Maria Tsakali. At the end of the day, I think we did well in Greece. And what do you think?
We did well, definitely. First of all, let me say how delighted I am to see you, Maria. You are our beloved country ambassador for the Study UK Alumni Awards. And special thanks to Metropolitan College for the invitation. It's a great pleasure to be part of this panel. I think the 2 points that I'd like to emphasize in my very, very brief contribution to this question is what I think Vivienne touched upon, that UK universities, from a UK angle, from a UK perspective, UK institutions tried, put health, safety and well-being of students at the heart of their efforts, but at the same time trying to provide top quality learning options. In terms of providing high quality programs, flexible, studying online or facilitating later start dates, supporting students in financial hardship, supporting students in self-isolation, all that together with a shift to blended and online learning was a huge undertaking, not just for UK universities, but for all institutions. And another dimension from a local perspective, as head of education in Greece, I'd like to highlight the communication element, that we've been in touch with students and we were trying to communicate and inform students in the wide range of changes. It was extremely important to see that UK institutions and the entire mechanism in the UK, from the UK government to relevant authorities on well-being and health and safety, to higher education institutions, to supporting education bodies like Universities UK International, like the organization responsible for student affairs, the Department for Education, were providing a wide range of information sources so as to enable students to familiarize with the changes and be able to support them. So I think that was another, if you like, highlight of that challenging process that we have faced.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Let me carry on with our second question on how pressing is the need, what do you think, to question traditional concepts in the field of higher education, according to your experience? And let me start with Mr. Elias Spirtounias. He is the Executive Director, American Hellenic Chamber of Commerce. Can you hear us?
I was unmuted. Again, hello, and I'm delighted to be here with all of you and share my views and comments. We all are living in a rapidly changing world. The evolution of sciences and technologies, along with several globally emerging issues of wide concern, such as the environment, ethics, sustainability, inclusiveness, inequalities, and others, are crafting a new world for which we need to be ready to confront challenges, and as such, it's not without saying that this transformation process offers an opportunity for rethinking educational practices in order we adequately prepare the young generations. Questioning traditional concepts in education to my perception should not only be limited to higher education, but should expand to all educational levels, actually. The question here, though, is how ready we are to do this and whether we have not only the necessary infrastructure, but also the appropriate educational human resources to succeed in such transformation. Let's take, for example, what the rapid digitalization brought to our lives and to the way we conduct our work or educate our kids and how we even communicate each other. This rapid transition from face-to-face educational communication to online teaching and talking to each other offers many opportunities, but also many challenges too. Information is much more accessible, and that is of great value. But at the same time, the validity of the information flowing in the networks out there is many times under question.
Thank you, Mr. Spirtounias. What does the American Embassy say? Let me give the floor to Mrs. Cynthia Harvey.
Hi, good afternoon. To add on to what Elias put so beautifully, I would say that, I think we have an expectation that universities globally will be at the cutting edge of progress. We look to them to set the standard of progress in our societies, and we certainly saw that here in Greece in the past several months. I've been deeply impressed by what I observed here. And so I think that really just we can look to our universities as being role models for us. COVID showed that they can be versatile and adaptive. And what that means from where I sit at the American Embassy is one of the things that we're looking to do is to create more opportunities for American students interested in studying in Greece. And while you can't replace the on-campus kind of traditional student experience that you get when you're studying abroad, I think that we have seen that they can really elevate the amount of student services through virtual and blended learning opportunities, perhaps before the students arrive here at the Greek university or educational institution, after they leave, in maintaining those ties, once the student has left. And just for a deepening ability of universities to be more versatile and able to be responsive to their students. There's a real increase in demand on the part of American students to study here in Greece. In the latest Open Doors study indicated that it had increased by the latest figures by 11.7% over the previous year. Certainly, these numbers are going to change because COVID changed everything. But I think that Greece is more and more becoming a destination of choice for American study abroad students. And I think that because Greek universities and educational institutions were able to be so responsive and innovate, I think that sets them up beautifully to be able to deliver an even greater educational experience in the future.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Eduardo Ramos, your experience, your opinion, as far as transnational education experience is concerned.
Thanks, Maria, and thanks very much to Metropolitan College for having me today. I think the pandemic has brought to the fore a need to recognize the multiple ways in which learning happens. This includes formal, but also informal and non-formal forms of learning. To talk in a more precise level, in the transnational education space, our big challenge is how these experiences translate across borders. Let me explain. Let's imagine a student who is living in Patras and was studying for a nursing qualification at the beginning of the pandemic. Then the practical components are interrupted due to lockdown, but this student then volunteers at a local healthcare facility for instance. And the student goes on to study single modules online, maybe MOOCs, on healthcare for COVID patients. And then this student may also perhaps be caring for family members who are suffering from mental health struggle due to isolation. So you have a range of extraordinary experiences. How have these experiences been taken into account for the student's qualification as a nurse? Will he or she have to retake nursing without any of these experiences having been recognized? So in one sentence, micro-credentialing, recognition of prior learning, recognition of professional experience, these can be solutions to the questions that have been posed by the pandemic. And I think as a sector, we need to work hard to innovate in this space. And we have a tremendous opportunity now to do it thanks to the pandemic, ironically.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Eduardo. Where are you now? Are you in England?
I am in London. I'm very close to Vivienne, actually, physically.
Okay. So your name is very exotic. I thought you were somewhere in an exotic place. Okay, I think we're better than London now, weather-wise at least. Let me carry on with Clare Overmann. And have you identified any educational resources and digital tools that truly enable communication, collaboration, and learning across borders?
Sure. Well, I think we've seen a boom in all sorts of ways of connecting virtually. I would posit, though, that as we move forward in terms of delivering online education and collaborating virtually, that the mechanisms themselves are somewhat less important than the pedagogies and the thoughtfulness around those. So, as we see today, Zoom is working perfectly fine for us, even for such a large crowd. And I think faculty would agree that Zoom is working and other online platforms are working fairly well. But where we need more support is in the pedagogy and how we engage students and how we think about scheduling these, synchronously or asynchronously, and the ways to support faculty in learning how to use these technologies.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Kevin, your thoughts, Mr. Perkins?
Absolutely. And, as far as, what we focused on here at the University of Arizona is really building a team that is able, again, to support our international learners around the world. And so we've actually developed a international student success team. And they speak, about 12 different languages. And so, again, for our international students who perhaps weren't able to come here and we're doing online for the first time, and in many countries, non-Western countries, online just doesn't have the foothold in those markets like it does in the United States and in Western Europe countries. And so walking them through that experience and how to interact, and then also working with our faculty here on the ground in Tucson, Arizona, to be more receptive and have and show them a different perspective that some of these online learners from international countries may have is really what we focused on. So these are some more of the soft tools that we've developed internally to make sure that we're being responsive to new online learner and new online learners as they get through the pandemic period.
Mm-hmm. Director Stern, your thoughts?
I think one of the conversations that's happening in many organizations, not just universities, is what is special about face-to-face? Because as we move back into a world in which it is possible to continue to deliver things online, but you've also got the option of bringing people together, I think we're all thinking more carefully about what it is that bringing people together physically in one place allows them to do. And I expect there to be a renewed appreciation of the opportunity to be creative when you're together. And of course, in UK universities, programs are often designed to provide opportunities for students to collaborate together, to work together on problems, to come up with solutions, through heated debate and discussion and good disagreement. And I think that's going to be quite important as we work out what the blended new normal is. I think there will be an emphasis on making the most of those face-to-face opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I have to say that you're great. It's like the perfect show. We have a great flow and we respect the time framework. I'm very happy as a moderator. And at this point, I would like to give one more video, a pre-recorded video by Ambassador of Switzerland to Greece, Olaf Gjelsen, if I pronounce it well. Let's watch the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to be back at the Metropolitan College of Athens, virtually of course because of the pandemic. I remember with pleasure the inauguration of the cooperation between the Metropolitan College and the École Hôtelière de Lausanne ceremony on the 11th of June 2019. The pandemic brings new challenges, like the necessity to hold this conference in a virtual form or online. The pandemic brings challenges in the field of teaching and education. I know personally because my wife is a teacher of biology and math, and she's been working more than me during the last year. It brings challenges, but maybe also opportunities. One of the opportunities might be the need to internationalize, to open up, to foster mobility. This brings certainly impulses to the internationalization of higher education, which is the theme of today's conference. The rankings of Swiss universities and higher education institutions are very high because of the high number of faculty, often more than half, and of students coming from abroad. Another reason is the high level of funding for research, both from the public and from the private sector. There's a keen interest from many Greeks to go to study to Switzerland. Many are interested in hotel management, hospitality management, or to go to the Federal Institutes of Technology in Lausanne or Zurich. And many are also following higher education in the field of medicine, postgraduate studies mostly. There is a system of federal grants open to Greek students and candidates. It is a competitive process, also regional, but I'm happy to say that the Greek students perform very well and get a high number of those yearly grants. I would like to express my satisfaction at the fact that Greece is now opening up its higher education sector to foreign students. One first perfect example is in the field of archaeology, with a bachelor in archaeological studies at Athens University in English language, which is of course a necessity for international students. There's a Swiss School of Archaeology in Greece, but it's not really a school, it's a research institution which is based here over 50 years and does research in the field of archaeology. Greece is undergoing a process of digitalization which has been accelerated during the pandemic. It should help boost the economy, simplify our lives, and contribute also in the field of higher education to establishing contacts and cooperations. This year is also a special year in Greece. Greece is celebrating the bicentennial of the beginning of its struggle for independence. It's a cause to rejoice and celebrate in common. Many Philhellenes contributed to this movement, and among them several from Switzerland. We communicate on this topic. I recommend that you throw an eye on our website and social media if you want to know more about this. The friendship between Greece and Switzerland is long-lasting. One expression is also the exchanges in the field of tourism. Before the pandemic, we had over 500,000 Swiss coming to Greece to enjoy the beautiful country. I hope that this will resume soon again and that we can start living normal lives. Mobility has different forms. It can be intellectual, it can also be online, but I think nothing can replace the personal contacts. I regret that I cannot be present with you today, but it was a pleasure to address you thanks to this video conference. I wish you all great success in this conference. Good continuation. Kalli συνέχεια. Thank you and goodbye.
Υπέροχα, μίλησε και στα ελληνικά και τον ευχαριστούμε πολύ. He spoke in Greek and we thank him very, very much, the ambassador of Switzerland to Greece. Λοιπόν, let's go now to the Eastern Mediterranean region and let's try to explore which are the educational opportunities that exist in the Eastern Mediterranean region and what role Greece can play. And let me start this round with Mr. Vangelis Tsiligkiris. Vangelis, the floor is yours.
Thanks very much. I would like to follow from the previous discussion about the role of technology post-COVID. I think when it comes to taking decisions about strategy, we need to somehow forget about COVID for the time being and consider that what is going to be the new reality going forward, but not only 6 months or 12 months after today, but 5 or 10 years ahead. So I think we need to look deeper into the model of delivery and the pedagogy behind things rather than focusing simply on technology. So at the back of that, I think the opportunities in the region revolve around the focus and the content and the design of academic programs. So I think there is the need for a stronger link between academic programs and experiential learning. So learning by doing and the connection between academia and the market and businesses. For example, university programs in countries like the US, UK, Canada have this connection already. So businesses are part of the higher education ecosystem. We don't see that quite a lot in the Eastern Mediterranean. So I think a good point of reference here is the so-called knowledge triangle that the European Union is using to identify the link between education, research, and innovation. So if we design programs that have these elements embedded into them, I think that is the opportunity for the Eastern Mediterranean, including Greece. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you want me to go through about what is the role of Greece in that.
Of course, yeah.
I think particularly for Greece, what we see, obviously Greece is coming out of a double dip crisis that has suppressed quite a lot the economic activity over a period of time. But at the same time, we know that the economy is going to rebound from that, and we see signs of it. So I think there's a great opportunity for higher education institutions to play a role in this rebound of the economy by designing courses and programs that can help the economy recover. So links between academic programs, for example, having embedded elements of experiential learning like projects in real companies will enable students to have this connection between academia and real life. So I think in Greece in particular, where unemployment amongst the young people is quite high, that would be quite impactful. So I think for Greece, that is probably a priority that needs to be set at policy level.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you very much, Vangelis. And let me carry on to pass the floor to Cynthia, please.
Sure. Well, I certainly wish that I had thought about studying in Greece when I was a university student, because it is truly just, the entire city of Athens and the broader region is a classroom. And I think
it's a perfect student life here.
That's right. So just kind of going back to what Vangelis was saying about how students are looking for more experiential learning, I think that this region really provides that in terms of, just the archaeological sites alone here in Athens with the Agora and the Acropolis are, provides just ample opportunity for historical studies. And moving beyond just kind of the classics and the humanities, though, we're seeing more and more students who are coming here for a broad range of topics. So, for example, we have students who come who are interested in contemporary issues around refugees. And we have students who are coming here to study agricultural issues, or who are interested in the broader geopolitical issues here in the Eastern Mediterranean region. So it is developing. Another thing that we have noticed, which I think is really a terrific development, and it just is showing some progress in the universities, is that they are offering more English language opportunities. And that is expanding the opportunities for not just students from the United States, but globally to choose Greece for a study abroad opportunity. It had been in the past that many times students who were choosing to study abroad here in Greece were of Greek origin. They spoke some Greek, they knew Greek language well enough that they could jump into the classroom setting here. But now with the increase in English language opportunities, you don't have to have the language in order to get into the classrooms here. Although, of course, as a diplomat who did it himself, I think studying Greek is great, and I'd like to see all students do it. But for a student who perhaps only has a semester to study in another country, I think that having those English language opportunities are great. So I think that there is just an unlimited amount of opportunity here in the Eastern Med region, and at the embassy, as I mentioned before, we'll be encouraging all the opportunities that we can in this space. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Tsakali, apart from the weather, the sea, the sun, there is a Greek expression, ήλιος, η θάλασσα και τα αγόρι μου. What else is for a student here in Eastern Mediterranean and especially in Greece?
Thank you, Maria. I mean, as prior speaker said, I think that Greece has all the natural characteristics to actually position itself more dynamically in the sphere of attracting international students. It's great to see that there have been government changes and policies that encourage internationalization of both state universities and private institutions. A few notable strengths, being home to ancient knowledge, the great rich culture and heritage, the unique Mediterranean lifestyle, of course, we've mentioned that, high education institutions with top quality educators, all that in a way create an environment that is very welcoming, and it's also more strategic than it has been before in order to make that internationalization happen. From a UK angle, just to say that Greece is a very important partner of the UK on transnational education, and the scale of collaborations that currently exist between UK institutions and Greek private institutions are long established, well established, and make a very significant contribution to internationalization. So internationalization is already happening and is making a positive contribution to Greece's vision to attract international students. So I hope that post-Brexit, there will be more opportunities to further reinforce these collaborations with both state and private institutions.
Yeah, we all hope that. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mrs. Tsakalis. Chairman Arkumanis, Metropolitan College is a great paradigma, let's say. Your thoughts?
Yes, it is, but I will be a little bit more general and try to be controversial by arguing that the Eastern Mediterranean region, there are not many local universities, if any, that can claim to be to have global reputation and to be included in the top 200, 300 in global rankings. So Greece, with its well-acknowledged educational culture and tradition, and its numerous academics in every top institution in the world, can become, without a lot of effort, the local leader in transnational education by welcoming international students. This could be facilitated by the developing healthy competition between the public and private higher education institutions. We heard about the Greek government's decision to make more the state universities in Greece more extroverts and to establish partnerships with other institutions. We heard that the private colleges in Greece, with its long tradition in having partnerships with institutions around the world, are ahead in this for the time being, but we welcome a strong competition between the public and the private sector. And for Greece to be so successful and to be a leader, there is one prerequisite, that its higher education has to transform its syllabus to provide academic degrees of relevance to young people in new areas of knowledge attractive to emerging global professional markets. There are many programs in Greece associated with very long established programs that are out of date. There is a need to generate new attractive academic programs, both undergraduate and postgraduate, in order to attract even more competent international students.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Ramos, your thoughts?
Thank you, Maria. I would react to Maria's comments and also two comments made on the importance of Greece as a partner for the UK. It's the top partner in the EU with over 20,000 students, and it's the sixth partner worldwide in TNE numbers, and it's increasing rapidly. So it's incredibly important, this partnership. In terms of the Eastern Mediterranean, I think it's always been a place of exchange, of sharing ideas, hasn't it? It's quite literally at the crossroads of three continents. And in that sense, the opportunities have been there for a very long time, for centuries probably. But in more recent times, I think Greece has positioned itself in an interesting place as the EU member that is closer to a region that presents an extraordinary set of challenges and opportunities. We have the reconstruction challenges in Syria and Lebanon. There's also the gateway to the African continent with its huge demographic human capital potential. And we have, of course, the geostrategic interests of Russia and China with the Belt and Road Initiative going through the country. So against this background, we have the human resources that will be necessary both in Greece but also in neighboring countries. And I would echo what was being said about new areas of expertise, from fintech to robotics to maritime technology. I think as a country, Greece can respond to this demand, and hopefully in partnership with the UK, because British universities have cutting-edge research and teaching in many of these areas, and collaborating with institutions such as Metropolitan College in TNE, we can adapt those to the local context to respond to local and also regional needs.
Thank you. Thank you. And let me close this round with the thoughts of Elias Spirtounias. Please, the floor is yours. Mr. Spirtounias?
Sorry again. I think most of the panelists have covered, the specific questions, but let me add a few things. So we all know that there are plenty of opportunities for Greece to become a well-acclaimed educational hub in the East Med region in various fields of studies. Greece has a significant footprint in the history and culture of the East Med region, and there is a great respect and admiration towards our country. The Greek state, in collaboration with academic institutions, public and private, should work together in putting down a long-term and consistent strategy for exploiting these opportunities and make our academic institutions successfully extrovert. Let's take, for example, classical and humanities studies. How many students from all over the world wouldn't like to take some courses here and have the chance to visit the homeland of Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and so many others? The homeland of ancient theater could become a hub for theatrical studies. The homeland of mathematics could become a hub of math and sciences. What we need to do is first to develop attractive programs in foreign language that meet the needs of international students. Second, to make agreements with foreign academic institutions for students and credits exchange. And third, to promote consistently those programs everywhere. In addition, the state needs to resolve possible visa issues and perhaps provide some incentives for housing infrastructure. Attracting international students will have a major economic impact, since according to studies, there is a potential of increasing our GDP by at least 2% if we sincerely explore this opportunity. So there are many international fairs for international studies abroad. We as AmCham are in favor of the organization of national pavilions in such fairs, and especially in the US, and promote those programs and studies.
Thank you, Elias. Thank you, Mr. Spirtounias. Let me carry on with one more video by Brent White. It's a pre-recorded video. Chief Executive Officer, UA Global Operation, University of Arizona.
Hi, I'm Brent White, Vice Provost for Global Affairs and Dean of Global Locations at the University of Arizona. I'm sorry I'm not able to be live with you today, but I wanted to take a moment to say how excited we are about the partnership with Metropolitan College and how excited we are to have multiple locations in Greece through this partnership. This partnership will enable students to earn a UA degree at any of the locations while receiving on-campus support and the ability to take advantage of Metropolitan's campuses throughout Greece. Thank you, and we look forward to working together.
Okay, and let me carry on with our last round, our last question, which is what prospects can you identify for university-delivered transnational education? And I will start this round with Clare Overmann. Please, Clare, the floor is yours.
Sure. Well, I think I'll continue some of the past conversation and echo what Cynthia said before, that this really is a very pivotal moment for Greece in terms of a destination for students. Prior to the pandemic, U.S. study abroad to Greece was up. We have a government that is so pro-internationalization. And actually, right now, IIE is working together with the Greek Ministry of Education and the U.S. Embassy and the Fulbright Foundation on a partnership development program between U.S. institutions and Greek U.S. institutions. So we have at least 30 institutions on both sides trying to work together to create these partnerships that will provide students more opportunities for mobility, that will provide the research opportunities as well. And as it has been mentioned across the board, we're seeing the partnerships emerge already throughout the pandemic in topics everything from mathematics to archaeology to neurodegenerative diseases. So everything is being worked on. And we're so grateful to the Greek ministry for really supporting those efforts.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Claire. Vangelis?
Yeah, I will agree with that. And at the same time, I would like to flag what's happening at the macro level. So I would like to say that Greece is at the point where the T&E market is shifting the emphasis from aimed at meeting the supply gaps, so meeting supply gaps that existed in the past, and is moving now to addressing specific needs of specific niches within that market and add value to the domestic higher education sector. So as others were saying, is this need to provide programs in specific subject areas that are cutting edge and all that. I will go back to this need for this innovative course design. So I think T&E in the future in Greece has to be more innovative and move away from the simple design of franchising or validation or dual and joint degrees, and go to this more innovative design where you have three parties being involved, a foreign university, a local partner, and then a business or a third sector, non-for-profit, external partner, just to bring everything together and boost employability. Then is also the focus on the impact of transnational education that has not been yet recognized. So in Greece, all this provision of T&E has offered so much locally. It has helped so many young people to have access to good quality education, and that needs to be celebrated, appreciated, and pursued even further. Mm-hmm. Couple of areas, specific areas that I would suggest is obviously the one would be collaborative programs in research degrees, in PhDs. So I think that is an area that will help quite a lot to build this collaboration, especially with public universities. And also another area that is really coming up in UK, in US, is the executive education courses online as part of lifelong learning. So you have these short courses being offered online by, prime examples are University of Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard. And I think for Greece, that's a great opportunity to use this kind of courses as a way of boosting the reputation of their institutions in collaboration with a foreign university. So that would summarize my views on that.
Thank you very much. Kevin, Mr. Perkins, Vice President Perkins.
Absolutely. So I think my comments really echo those of Claire's and Brent's. So really, I think there's a lot of prospects for really building a strong network of international partners around the world, and leveraging that in several ways. And so we talked some about study abroad, and having good university partners in other countries are excellent hubs for our domestic students to go overseas and participate in those study abroad experiences. Similarly, using those networks to deliver or co-deliver dual degree programs or online degree programs. We've formed such a partnership with Metropolitan College and other universities in 57 countries around the world. And so really having a broad network where you can really tap into for study abroad experiences, and also to expand that access to a U.S. education from our perspective to other countries for students who may not be able to come here, either due to pandemic reasons or financial reasons. So I think really, really focusing on those partnerships, incubating them, and then as they grow, you see other things come from research collaborations, development projects that we've seen in some countries and so forth. So I think that's really important and will be more important as we move forward.
Thank you very much. 7 o'clock, I think Mrs. Harvey, Cynthia has to go. Thank you very much, Cynthia, Mrs. Harvey, for your participation.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Let me carry on with the floor now is to Mrs. Stern, Director Stern, please.
Well, I'll just mention two things. One is that there's an extraordinary alignment, as I understand it at least, between Greece's ambitions in this area to develop its profile as a hub for international education and the ambitions of the UK. So in the UK, we have an international education strategy, which has a strong emphasis on transnational education as part of the way that the UK will expand its sort of reach and influence through the excellent education we can offer. And it's part of an economic strategy. We have already education export activity is worth 23 billion to the UK economy, and that grew 47% since 2010. It's an extraordinary growth area. That opportunity is really well aligned with Greece's ambitions, and I think that working together, we could, as others have said, including Kevin, find ways to develop programs that are relevant not only to Greece's own economic needs and the development of industries that are really important in Greece, but also as a destination for students who want to travel within the region or want to travel relatively shorter distances to access high quality education. And perhaps that means expanding access to people otherwise who wouldn't have access to those sorts of opportunities. So I think that's very important. The other thing I would say is that I have to say this, that in the UK, we want to get more of our own students and graduates to gain international experience. And it seems to me very important that more of our students spend time in Greek institutions and Greek companies. The Turing scheme, which was launched by the UK government very recently, will fund UK students to spend time abroad, either working or studying. And I really hope that Greek institutions will take advantage of that opportunity to try and reach new exchange agreements with UK partners. I think it's a really important agenda for the UK.
Great, thank you very much. And let me give the floor now to Professor Arkumanis, Chairman Arkumanis, and it's the last answer, and also you can sum up also. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Maria. Just returning to the prospects of Greece becoming a top international educational hub, I would argue that the prospects are unlimited. When the educational benefits based on the high scientific, technological, and cultural level of the graduates from Greek universities join forces with the unique weather, enjoyable but relatively cheap cost of living, and friendly social atmosphere to create a very attractive teaching and research environment for people from abroad and those in the Mediterranean area. Also, I hope that the Greek brain drain, which Greece has experienced, may start seeing a reverse trend with top Greek academics from abroad returning to Greece when they see that there is stability in the Greek finances. There is such an interest from companies to come to Greece, multinational companies to invest in Greece, and also to public and private institutions in Greece flourishing and doing very well. So in closing, on behalf of Metropolitan College, I very much enjoyed this panel. I would like to thank you all for your contributions. For those who are abroad, don't forget, in June, Greece is opening up, if not earlier. and you can come and visit us. And Metropolitan College will be delighted to host and to look after you. For those in Greece, keep enjoying the beautiful weather and keep going to the vaccination centers to get one of the 4 available vaccines.
Yeah, that's a great message, Professor Akourmanis. Let's all get vaccinated in order to enjoy this Greek summer. Thank you very much. Thank you all for this incredible discussion. Thank you, Mr. Daskalakis. Also, I would like to thank the organizers, Metropolitan College. And as a mother, I would like to say that this discussion was very informative for me also, since I have 2 children. They're going to study in 5 years. So in 5 years, I will need you all for instructions and what to do. Thank you very much, and have a great night. Regards from Athens.
Thank you, Maria, very much. Thank you.
Bye.